Attention passionate Atlanta Falcons fans. Latest news. Something big is happening in the NFC South and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Atlanta Falcons' path to another Super Bowl run. A power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Atlanta Falcons fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Atlanta Falcons fans. Let's get to the news. Alright, folks. Today we're diving into one of the hottest topics of the NFL offseason. And I mean hot enough to potentially reshape the entire NFC South. We're talking about the possibility of a certain elite linebacker, T.J. Watt, making his way from Pittsburgh to Atlanta. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Is this really happening? Could the Falcons pull off such a blockbuster move? Well, buckle up, because the rumors are swirling. And the implications are massive. We're not just speculating. We're analyzing what this could mean for the Falcons, the division, and the entire NFL landscape in 2025. First, let's set the stage. The Atlanta Falcons, for those who follow them closely, have been building and retooling for a few seasons now. Since the arrival of head coach Arthur Smith, the team has been on an upward trajectory, especially offensively, with quarterback Desmond Ridder showing flashes of potential and a solid offensive line supporting him. But what's always been a sticking point for the Falcons, since the days of their NFC Championship run in 2017, is their defense. It's been a mixed bag, often underperforming, especially in pass rush and pass defense. That's why fans have been clamoring for a defensive overhaul, for some game-changing talent to come in and elevate the unit as a whole. And here's where T.J. Watt enters the conversation. Watt, a 7-time Pro Bowler, 6-time All-Pro, and a former NFL Defensive Player of the Year, is a true force of nature. Since being drafted 30th overall in 2017, he's been nothing short of a dominant pass rusher. Over his career, Watt has accumulated an impressive 108 sacks. And if you remember his 2021 season, he racked up a staggering 22.5 sacks, leading the league and establishing himself as one of the best edge rushers in NFL history. His ability to consistently pressure quarterbacks and disrupt offenses is second to none. Imagine adding that kind of talent to an already talented Falcons defense. It would be like plugging a missing piece into a puzzle that's been incomplete for years. Now, let's talk about what's happening right now with Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers. As of now, no contract has been signed beyond his current deal, and there's a real possibility of a trade. Watt's situation is interesting because, despite his incredible production, the Steelers haven't yet reached an agreement on a new contract, and that leaves the door wide open for a team willing to make a bold move. The NFL landscape is always shifting, and teams like the Falcons, who have shown a willingness to invest in their roster, could see Watt as a perfect fit, especially given their needs on defense, which has been a concern over the last few seasons. Let's delve a little deeper into how the Falcons could potentially make this happen. They have some cap space available, although not unlimited, but what they do have is strategic flexibility. For example, they've heavily invested in backup quarterback Kirk Cousins, which might seem unrelated at first glance. But that contract structure actually gives them some leverage. They could use some of that cap space, along with draft assets or other player assets, to entice the Steelers into parting ways with Watt. It's not out of the realm of possibility, especially if Watt feels that a team like Atlanta offers him a genuine shot at a Super Bowl run and a prominent role on a defense that's rapidly improving. And speaking of defense, let's remember that the Falcons have been consistently trying to build a stronger unit. Over the past few years, we've seen flashes of promise from players like linebacker Halon Walker and James Pierce Jr., both of whom are young and talented, but they need guidance, veteran leadership, and a game-changer on the line. Bringing in Watt would be exactly that. A veteran presence who can mentor these young players while also making an immediate impact on the field. Watt's leadership qualities are well known, and his work ethic is legendary, which makes him an ideal mentor for both Halon Walker and Pierce Jr. This kind of veteran influence could accelerate their development and turn the Falcons' defense into a true strength. Now, let's consider the bigger picture. The Falcons, entering 2025, have high expectations. The NFC South is still a competitive division, with teams like Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Carolina all vying for supremacy. But the division is ripe for a new power shift. The addition of a player like Watt could be that catalyst, giving the Falcons a legitimate shot at not just winning the division but making a deep playoff run. It's about creating a defense that can consistently pressure the quarterback, force turnovers, and set up the offense with favorable field positions. Watt's presence would elevate the entire unit, and that's something Atlanta fans have been dreaming of for quite some time. Furthermore, Watt's impact goes beyond just the stats. His reputation for relentless effort, leadership, and game intelligence would serve as a morale booster for the entire team. When you have a player who's been a constant menace on the field and a leader in the locker room, it sends a message to everyone that the Falcons are serious about competing at the highest level. It could also be a signal to their division rivals that Atlanta isn't content with just being a middle-of-the-road team anymore. They're here to contend. But, of course, all of this hinges on the details. How much the Steelers would want in return, what kind of contract Watt is seeking, and how he perceives a potential move to Atlanta. There's always a lot of moving parts in these kinds of negotiations, and it's not guaranteed that Watt will leave Pittsburgh. Still, the mere possibility is enough to excite fans and analysts alike. The NFL offseason is a time of endless speculation and strategic moves, and the Falcons are right in the middle of that conversation. They're always looking to improve, always aiming higher, and this kind of move could be a statement that they're serious about not just competing but dominating. Now, looking at the bigger context, Atlanta's defense has shown flashes of potential but has struggled with consistency. Over the last few seasons, the Falcons have faced issues with pass rush productivity, especially in critical moments. The team has had some bright spots, like the emergence of young linebackers and defensive backs, but they've lacked that proven elite edge rusher who can change games single-handedly. T.J. Watt could be exactly that player. His ability to generate pressure on quarterbacks often leads to turnovers, and Atlanta could use a few more of those to turn close games into wins. Additionally, the Falcons' front office has been quite strategic with their roster moves. They've been patient, building through the draft and smart free agent signings, but they also realize that to make the leap from a good team to a great team, they need that extra star power. Watt would be a franchise-defining addition, a player who can be the cornerstone of their defense for years to come. His leadership and relentless pursuit of excellence would set the tone for the entire team, and that kind of culture shift can't be overstated. I also want to touch on the potential impact on the NFC South. Right now, the division is relatively open, with Tampa Bay trying to stay competitive, New Orleans rebuilding, and Carolina in a bit of a flux. If Atlanta manages to land Watt, it would send shockwaves through the division. Suddenly, the Falcons would be viewed as serious contenders, and their defense would become a nightmare for opposing offenses. It could be the difference maker in tight division battles and playoff seeding. The NFC South might be looking at a new dominant force. And Watt's addition could be the spark that ignites Atlanta's championship aspirations. Of course, fans are always curious about the logistics. How would they make it work financially? Well, they could leverage some of their existing cap space, restructure contracts, or make strategic trades involving draft picks or players. They've shown in the past that they're willing to take calculated risks to improve their roster. Plus, the NFL's salary cap is always a factor. But with some clever maneuvering, teams have managed to fit star players into their plans. And let's not forget the bigger picture. Watt's own career. He's been a model of consistency and excellence. And the chance to chase a Super Bowl in Atlanta, with a team on the rise, might be enticing. The Falcons are an organization that's been on the cusp of greatness. And adding a player of Watt's caliber could be the final piece they need to push them over the top. It's a storyline that could unfold over the next few months. And I know all of you are just as eager as I am to see how it develops. Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, let me remind you that the NFL offseason is always full of surprises. Sometimes, big names move unexpectedly, and it's those surprises that make this time of year so exciting. The Falcons are always looking to improve, and if Watt becomes available, you can bet they'll be in the mix. The division, the conference, and even the whole league could see a shake-up, and Atlanta fans should be ready for anything. This potential move, if it happens, could redefine the Falcons' trajectory for the next several seasons. It's about more than just adding a star. It's about changing the culture, raising expectations, and pushing the team to new heights. The question now is whether the Steelers are willing to part ways, whether Watt is interested in a fresh start, and what Atlanta's front office is willing to do to make this happen. It's a story that's still unfolding. But one thing's for sure. This offseason just got a whole lot more interesting for Falcons fans. And now, Atlanta Falcons fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think Watt would be the perfect addition? Are you excited about the possibility of seeing him in the red and black? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Atlanta Falcons. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates. So stay tuned for the latest Atlanta Falcons news. This team is on the rise. And with moves like this, the future looks incredibly bright. Thanks for sticking with me. And let's keep the Falcons' spirit alive and strong as we head into what promises to be an electrifying offseason.